At Cooper's Chase, a retirement village, psychiatrist Ibrahim Arif, former trade union leader Ron Ritchie, and mysterious Elizabeth Best gather as the Thursday Murder Club. Once a week, they meet to discuss old cold cases. Their latest obsession, the unsolved murder of Angela Hughes. Angela lived with her boyfriend Peter, an old army medic. One night, Angela is stabbed and thrown out the window of their flat, landing a few stories below, just as Peter arrives home. Peter chased the masked intruder, but couldn't catch him. Shortly thereafter, Peter disappeared. The police report says it was the knife wound that killed Angela, not the fall. And if so, they question why Peter, who would have known first aid, did not attempt to save Angela. They decide they need someone with medical expertise to advise. Joyce, a recent arrival at Cooper's Chase, shows her daughter Joanna around the village. They stumble across the Thursday Murder Club mid-session. Joanna recoils at a grisly crime scene photo pinned to their evidence board, but Joyce's expression remains calm, almost curious. Back in Joyce's room, a beautiful strawberry cake sits proudly on the coffee table for Joanna's visit. Joanna frowns at her mother's choice to live at Cooper's Chase, insisting to buy Joyce a flat near her home instead. Joyce refuses, explaining she needs to make new friends around her age. Joanna leaves abruptly, ignoring the untouched cake. Soon after, the Thursday Murder Club approaches Joyce. Elizabeth astutely deduces Joyce's past as a trauma nurse and hands her the same crime scene photo. Could Angela have survived the stabbing? Joyce affirms. Elizabeth invites Joyce to join their next meeting. Elsewhere, Ian drives to a tavern while his divorce lawyer delivers bad news over the phone. His wife is proceeding aggressively with the division of their assets. Ian does not take the news well. Ian arrives at the tavern to meet Bogdan, a contractor. Ian co-owns Cooper's Chase and wants to fast-track its demolition, replacing it with luxury flats. Ian would like Bogdan to start the work immediately. Bogdan reluctantly agrees, as he requires money to aid his sick mother in Poland. Ian does raise one complication. Tony Curran, a fellow owner who has resisted the plan because his elderly Aunt Maud still resides at Cooper's Chase. The Thursday Murder Club meet with Joyce. Ron and Ibrahim rave about her cake, and Joyce glows at their praise, though she expresses disappointment that her daughter refuses to eat her baking anymore. Elizabeth redirects the conversation, summarizing Angela's death. The police had questioned Angela's boyfriend, Peter, but ultimately accepted his story about the intruder. Elizabeth also reveals that the case had once been overseen by Detective Inspector Penny Gray, now lying in a hospice at Cooper's Chase after falling into a coma, and that Penny is not only a former colleague, but also a dear friend of hers. Later, Elizabeth visits Penny in the hospice, accompanied by her husband, John. Though Penny remains unresponsive, whilst by her bedside, Elizabeth recounts the progress of the case. Elizabeth returns home to her husband, Stephen. He battles dementia, relying on a tape recorder to piece together his days. Elizabeth prepares him tea, slipping a pill into the cup with practiced care. Police Constable Donna visits the village to give a lecture on home security. The Thursday Murder Club invite her to lunch, where she admits that life in the countryside feels dull compared to London. The club, sensing her potential, quickly pull her into their investigations. At a heated town hall, Ian unveils his ambitious redevelopment plans. His co-owner Tony fiercely opposes him, vowing to stop the project and rallying the residents to his side. Shortly afterwards, Tony is murdered in his own home. The club convene an emergency meeting and resolve to investigate Tony's death, with plans to enlist Donna as an ally inside the police force. Elizabeth receives confidential financial records of Cooper's Chase from a friend. A quick review reveals a mysterious third investor. With Donna's help, they trace it to Bobby Turner, a notorious crime boss thought to be long dead. On the first day of demolition, the residents protest. Ian and Bogdan arrive. While Ian argues with the crowd, Bogdan slips away into the graveyard to begin work. Ian is swarmed by the crowd and suddenly collapses and dies from a lethal dose of fentanyl, leaving Bobby the sole owner. Jason is arrested, though the evidence against him proves weak. Elizabeth cautiously befriends Bogdan. He leads her to an unmarked grave, later identified as Peter Mercer. The TMC turn their attention to Bobby. Elizabeth and Donna track him down at a flower shop and discover that he has been trafficking migrants and seizing their passports. Elizabeth strikes a deal. Cooper's chase must remain untouched in exchange for her silence. Bobby also reveals that Tony was also complicit, but more ruthless, refusing to return passports to workers who wished to leave. Elizabeth realizes it was Bogdan who killed Tony. At the same time, Stephen and Bogdan are playing chess. Stephen guesses the truth, and Bogdan confesses with remorse. Elizabeth returns home with the police. Bogdan is arrested, unaware that Stephen had secretly recorded his confession. The truth about Angela's murder also surfaces. Elizabeth deduces that Peter killed her, but Penny, seeking justice, secretly killed Peter and hid his body in the graveyard. When Ian's redevelopment threatened to expose the grave, Penny's husband John murdered Ian to protect her. With all murders solved, Elizabeth presents Penny's club necklace to Joyce, welcoming her formally into the Thursday Murder Club. As Cooper's chase goes back on the market, Joanna considers buying it. Life in the village resumes its quiet rhythm, with friendships renewed and the club ready for the next mystery.